Okay, so hello. This is my adult workshop presentation. As a person who is autistic, as well as the parent of both an autistic child and a neurotypical child, um, well, neurotypical in the not autistic sense, at least, um, finding a balance between the support needs of two children with very different needs is something that's incredibly important to me. So I wanted to create this workshop that it's created for parents and caregivers of neurodiverse families, though it could also be tailored to include other disabilities as well. It would just require some different resources and different wording and everything, but generally it would be useful. Uh, so why does a topic like this matter? First, it can be difficult for people who don't have a lot of education on autism to understand exactly how the autistic brain can work. Even as an autistic person and the parent of one, I still honestly barely know anything. Um, so it wouldn't be surprising that a child, a sibling of someone on the autism spectrum, they may not, they may have difficulty understanding the why of autism and why their sibling might behave certain ways, etc. Neurotypical siblings, they may have difficulty understanding why their sibling isn't always the same as their peers. They might use language like, why is Billy so different? They're not putting a value judgment on that. They're not saying that with the word different with any malice. It's just they use the words that they have available. They might find it difficult to explore and express their own feelings. A child still come to understand the world around them, um, trying to still coming to understand how things work. When they're faced with somebody who doesn't necessarily fall into the line of neurotypical, it could be hard for them to um, connect and express the feelings that they have. It could be hard for them to explain or understand why their experiences don't mirror the experiences of their peers. It could also be hard for them to explain to their peers why their sibling may not act the same way that their peers' siblings do. I think a workshop like this is important because it helps to provide some of these conversational building blocks and helps to start an understanding of these differences, how they can hopefully better connect with their siblings and their family, and yeah, have their family connect better as a whole. So, some common challenges that siblings face. It's clearly not a surprise that there are different challenges that neurotypical children might face when it comes to their relationships with their neurodivergent siblings. Some of the challenges that siblings of autistic children in general might face include challenges to their emotional well being. Neurotypical siblings can often have increased stress and anxiety stemming in part from their sibling. It's a completely normal thing to feel. And they might find it hard to relate to them compared to how they relate to some of their peers. They might also have their own emotion. They might feel like their own emotional needs aren't being met. And those emotional needs might not be being met. Again, not through any sense of malice, but just because caregivers may not realize that they aren't providing these needs to the neurotypical sibling, and the neurotypical sibling may not know how to advocate for themselves. They might have challenges understanding the behavior of their autistic siblings, especially how it compares to their peers. Um, I know, for example, with my kids, there were many times that we as a family would have to leave an event or like the playground or amusement park or the beach or even the store or anything like that, because either my autistic son or, to be fair, me, um, might have been facing some sort of being overwhelmed since some sort of sensory meltdown from being overwhelmed for any any myriad of reasons. Uh, in the moment, I admit that I didn't always. put the needs of my neurotypical son into account because I was too focused on the needs of my son who's autistic. I just kind of expected my neurotypical son to understand that things are not always the same. Um, but I realized, like, how could I expect him to understand these things when he's a child and no one, meaning me, never helped him to explore those aspects? Hopefully, I've made some drastic changes there, but the reason I was able to make those changes is because I educated myself and I looked deeper into the needs of everyone involved, not just the needs of my autistic son. Um, that's why I think a workshop like this could be so beneficial. Some other challenges that neurotypical siblings might face include difficulties with social interactions with their neurotypical peers, especially when their neurodivergent sibling is included. There were times, again, with my own kids where when they were really little and my younger son, who is autistic, would be doing something weird, for a lack of a better word, and it could be awkward for my neurotypical son, especially like how to explain that to somebody who doesn't have exposure to that. They can also have difficulty, the neurotypical child could also have difficulty establishing their own sense of self-identity. We don't want to emotionally stunt any of our children. So there in the workshop, then we would go into some discussions on how caregivers and parents can show support to their or for their neurotypical child. This could be things such as finding opportunities to connect one on one. With both of our children, my wife and I have worked really hard to make sure that we do things as a family, but we also do things one on one to allow for that bonding time, to have those conversations that might be difficult to have when everybody is around. Um, that one-on-one time is something that can easily slip into the background, which is why making a point of it during a workshop like this, stressing the importance of making it a priority would be so beneficial. Also, finding things like community support, like say through a parent workshop about how to best support your um, neurotypical child with his neurodiverse sibling. I would stress to parents and caregivers that they be open and honest and clear in their needs as well as their care. Let the neurotypical child know that, yeah, sometimes things are going to be hard, and sometimes it might be hard to explain things, and it's okay to admit that things can be difficult. Um, this isn't just a skill for this specific topic. This is something that is a lifelong skill that will benefit them. Um, Also, education. The workshop can discuss education on the unique aspects of autism and on the siblings specifically. So there's a saying in the autistic community that if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. It's autism is a spectrum. Every experience is going to be different. It's important that we stress this to not only neurotypical siblings or to autistic children, but to their caregivers as well. The workshop could go on to discuss ways to involve the entire family in routines and experiences, but it should also be stressed that this should follow the needs of all of the children, not just the needs of the autistic child, not just the needs of the neurotypical child. Don't force your neurotypical child to take part in things that they may not be in the right mindset for. That's just going to foster animosity, and it's going to foster and what I don't know how to pronounce that word, but you know what I'm saying. Animosity. There you go. Uh, and then going on with the last point, um, it would be important to model empathy in all directions. Uh, every person involved should be treated empathetically and have their own needs met to the best of everybody's ability. You can't force empathy, but you can demonstrate it. You can teach it. You can model it. You can hopefully make it an aspect that they internalize and becomes an aspect of themselves. Some of the desired outcomes of the workshop would be increasing familial bonding and connection. Uh, this is incredibly important, and it's the whole crux of the presentation. Empowering all of the members of the family to be true to themselves and to be true to each other. Let let everyone involved know that it is okay to express their feelings. Workshops like this and the lessons that they hopefully teach can strengthen relationships that people have throughout their entire lives, not just with their autistic sibling, not just with their neurotypical child, not just with their neurodiverse child. It'll be something that they can, if it hopefully becomes an internal part of themselves, it will stretch throughout their entire life. For this workshop specifically, we could introduce and discuss tools that can be used in communication and connection across all members of the family, forging these real connections across um, any neuro type. Overall, though, the purpose of the workshop would be to build a lifelong foundation for advocacy, allyship, understanding, and belonging. There we go. Just some of the resources that can be shared. Though there's obviously a lot more out there. This first one, the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, is a great one. There is one name that you will not see in my resources, and there is a very good reason why. There are a lot of very good reasons why, but that's a whole different conversation. But Autistic Self Advocacy Network Resource Library includes some books, toolkits, reports on social issues, etc. There's the website. Uh, is a list of books that I found that looked interesting. A Day in Our Shoes is the website, and the um, article is 23 Best Books for Siblings of Special Needs Children. Um, they're all aimed at younger children on supporting a sibling with a disability. So not specifically autism, but it fits. And there's the website. Sibling Leadership Network. This is a couple of resources that are specifically for siblings of people who are not only autistic but could have any number of other disabilities. Some of these have resources that range from like children to adult, and both the siblings and everyone involved, all sorts of age ranges. But they all also include materials for younger children. And then the Center for Siblings of People with Disabilities, which seemed like a pretty cool thing. I had never heard of it before, but I'm glad that I know of it now. Um, and there's that website, siblingcenter.org. So lastly, my handout. Yay! Uh, um, it is a trifold, double-sided print, which is why the order of things might look a little funky. I wanted to include information that we discuss in the actual workshop, as well as include some phrasing that could be used to help a younger person to advocate for their sibling and for themselves in a language that is hopefully in their skill range. I also, again, included some information on why this workshop and why this topic is important. And then there is a short list of books and media that discusses not only autism itself, but also the impact of having an autistic sibling, um, the impact that that could have on someone. I admit that, like for the A word there, I have not actually seen that myself, so hopefully it's not negative, or it doesn't have any bad language in it. Of course, in an actual workshop, I would make sure to vet all the materials. But yeah, that is my presentation. And thank you.